Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September meeting of the Trumbull Town Council. Would everybody kindly rise for a moment of silence and the pledge.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Call the roll, please.
Mike Buswell.
Here.
Mary Isaac.
Here.
Michael Colahan.
Here.
Bill Mecca.
Here.
Ann Sather.
Here.
Jennifer Winchell. Veronica Lenzen.
Here.
Richard Wolf.
Here.
Jason Marsh.
Here.
Anthony Dorsey.
Here.
Ashley Gaudiano. Carl Massaro.
Here.
John Foreman.
Here.
Joe Pifko.
Here.
Thomas Broderick.
Here.
Joy Cologne.
Here.
Steve Lemoyne.
Here.
Kelly Malazzi.
Here.
Tony Cinto. Thomas Whitmore. And Nicole Satin.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a quorum. Before we go to public comment, I'll ask for a motion to approve our minutes from the August meeting. Is there such a motion?
Make the
Motion to approve. Oh, sorry. I'll second.
Clerk got that? Any discussion on the minutes from August? All right, hearing none, can we approve those minutes by unanimous consent? Good, okay. They are approved. We will go to public comment. Tonight, we have two ordinances. When they are called to the floor, there will be a separate public hearing for that. So if you're here to speak to Resolution TC 30-166, which is the volunteer fireman tax abatement ordinance, or the resolution to ban cannabis establishments in Trumbull, that's TC 30-167, you can wait till those come to the floor, or you're welcome to speak at this time for public hearing or public comment. So we will start with our first signed-up speaker. That's Brian Walsh. Please state your name and address. And again, your comments are limited to the subject matter on our agenda this evening.
Brian Walsh, 5944 Main Street. I am allowed to speak about the tax abatement, correct, at this time? Okay. So I'll keep it short and simple. I'm fully in support of tax abatement program for the volunteer fire department. I've been a volunteer in Easton on the EMS for many years. I enjoyed a similar program out there. There's tremendous amount of hours and effort that go into volunteering for these kind of jobs. There's the training requirements are, astronomical, and there's a tremendous amount of responsibility. This is the least that we can do to honor that service to the community. You put your lives on the line every day for this kind of stuff, and it's very important. So I fully support going forward with the tax abatement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Second speaker is Lori Hayes O'Brien.
Wait.
You're going to wait till later, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Third on the list is Melissa McGarry.
I'll also wait.
You'll also wait for the cannabis, okay? Fourth is Brian O'Connor.
Wait.
Just moving things along. And the last person who signed up is Mark Block. You'll wait. Is there anybody else who didn't sign up who wants to speak to something on our agenda this evening? All right, and we will have public comment completed. So we have new business on our agenda this evening. First is an annual audit presentation. I'm given the attendance of our firefighters this evening. I'm going to ask for a motion from the council to take their resolution out of order, which is TC 30-166. There's such a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Can we approve that motion by unanimous consent? Any objection? All right, hearing none, we'll do that. Mr. Buswell, would you move item 6, resolution TC 30-166 to the floor, please?
Certainly. Resolution TC 30-166, be it resolved and ordained that the volunteer fireman fire tax abate ordinance is hereby adopted pursuant to the provisions of CGS 12-81W. Full resolution attached, public hearing, Town Council, September 8th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. A committee report from Mr. Pifko, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Brian O'Connor, Vice President of the Trumbull Volunteer Fire Company, number 1, also known as Trumbull Center, was present and explained that there are 3 volunteer fire departments in town but operate as one town fire department. We have a force of all volunteers. This year is their department's 100th anniversary. Long Hill and Nichols have already had their 100-year anniversaries. There are approximately 100 volunteers in total, and 50 of them would be eligible for the abatement. There are also volunteers who live out of town who do not receive a property tax benefit each year. The town of Trumbull writes a check to their town to cover an abatement. Many towns offer abatements to their volunteers. Currently, Trumbull is at the lowest dollar amount. There is one town that doesn't offer an abatement, but does offer a retirement package. That is something that they want to do. Councilman Marsh noted the town has the ordinance on the books already. It was passed over 20 years ago, but did not make its way to the online code. But it's there, and it's being used and spoken in favor of updating the figures. There is one additional provision in this proposed ordinance, which provides for those who have served 25 years plus as a cumulative basis, and this would make the permanent provision. Brian O'Connor explained that that was added because the state of Connecticut changed the policy. For years, the state of Connecticut had a limit of what the town could provide their volunteer firefighters. The limit was $1,000, but has changed at the state level to a $2,000 limit. At the end of the day, it's better to have someone longer as a member and a firefighter who has developed skills and knowledge than a new recruit that doesn't have it. It's an experience that they want to keep on the books. The committee thanked the volunteers for their service. The motion was carried unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Pifko. So a little background on this particular ordinance. We are essentially updating the credit allowances that, under the state statute that was described. In researching the existing ordinance, we did not find it in the municipal code of the town. With some research and help of town attorney, we've located the old originating resolutions and updated them. In reorganizing the ordinance, I had our clerk circulate a revised draft of it, which doesn't change the credit amounts, but creates one ordinance that, where there were once 2. First section, called Part 1, will deal with resident volunteers for the fire department. Part 2 is a replication of the same terms for non-residents. That draft was circulated to council. We'll discuss that in short order. Additionally, it was we put clarification in that ordinance that the credit amounts would apply to a principal residence of a volunteer firefighter and to one single vehicle. And that would apply whether you're a non-resident or a resident volunteer. We also added a provision that was missing in the original draft submitted for this agenda, which was direction for the finance director to enter into an interlocal agreement with any participating municipalities. De facto, we've had at least a verbal understanding, and I think the officers understand how that basically was working. Qualified non-resident volunteer would have a check sent on their behalf to the tax collector of the town where they lived. That process, I would imagine, this passing this evening will continue, and if anything in detail is needed, either the finance director can create that in a formal agreement, or if need be, it will come back to the council. So that's the background, and before the council addresses it, I guess I will open the public hearing on this at 7:44 p.m. And I'll ask anybody who wants to speak on this resolution to come forward and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Brian O'Connor. I live at 17 Woodhill Road here in town. I've been a volunteer firefighter with the Trumbull Volunteer Fire Company. Gosh, I can't even remember, maybe well over 30 years now. I wanted to say a few words to the council, although Joe kind of stole my thunder from last week. But I wanted to say good evening and congratulations. Thank you on behalf of Long Hill, Trumbull Volunteer Fire Company, and Trumbull Center, and also Nichols Fire Department, for considering this resolution. It means a lot to all of the gentlemen behind us. It not only provides them some additional funds to cover their expenses in their homes, but it also is a big thank you from the town council and from our town leaders. And we greatly appreciate that thank you. Hopefully it will pass unanimously this evening. As we all know, the state of the volunteer fire service, Joe mentioned it a little bit. The last census, which I found quite amazing, by the state of Connecticut, was taken back in 2017. In 2017, they said that the fire ranks decreased by over 67% in the volunteer fire service. 67% reduction. I can say in our departments, we work hard to recruit and retain our members, and I don't think that we've seen a 67% decrease. I think we've seen a decrease maybe 10% to maybe 15 at a high, but we're out there every day looking for new people, and we're looking and searching for ways to retain the people that we have. And this resolution does exactly that for our membership. We as volunteers, we also go through thousands of hours of training. I think our Fire One, in order to be state certified, and it's been a long time since I took that class, maybe 30 years, but I think it's well over, what, 160 hours. 160 hours for one person to be certified to be an interior firefighter. That's a lot of time away from your family if you're an adult, you know. And we use this as a retention tool, as a recruitment tool. We have other things that we use to recruit and retain our membership. And I implore you all to vote the affirmative for passing this resolution. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Is there somebody else who would like to speak to this particular ordinance? Your name and address, please.
Mark Block, 60 Ridgeview Avenue. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight for just a minute. I want to urge you to support the resolution for the tax abatement for our volunteer firefighters. I'm going to turn my back just to you for a minute to thank all of our firefighters who are here both tonight and at home for their volunteer efforts, the work that they do on behalf of our community, and the time that they put in to ensure the safety, security of all of us. The town appreciates it, and I strongly urge you to support the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Block. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak to this proposed ordinance? All right, hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:49. All right, so let's see. We have the ordinance on the floor. Mr. Marsh?
I just would propose a administrative amendment to the resolution, given that we have an ordinance on the books, that I would change the wording or propose that we amend the resolution to read that the volunteer that the current volunteer fireman tax abatement is hereby repealed and replaced with the volunteer fireman tax abatement ordinance and adopted pursuant to provisions of et cetera, just so it's clear that we're taking something off the books and replacing it with the current iteration.
Second.
Yes, definitely housekeeping, but before you second it, let me offer you the two specific resolution numbers,
Okay.
because it never made it into the municipal code, as I said earlier. So we're talking about Resolution 19-121 and 19-243. Based on the information I have, those ordinances, one created the tax abatement for residents, the other for non-residents. So if,
So with that, I would propose that the amendment read that ordinance 19-121 and 19-243 are hereby repealed and replaced with the volunteer fireman tax abatement ordinance adopted pursuant to the provisions of CGS 12-81W. Full resolution attached.
TC 30-166, great.
Yep.
Okay. Second? All right, any discussion on that motion? Ms. Cologne?
So it's not so much that motion, but I just wanted to tell the firemen that were here, as I walked through and I saw some friends and some neighbors, it was very nice to see all of you. And my uncle was a firefighter out on Long Island, and it brought back a great many memories because everybody's still taller than me. But thanks for being here tonight.
All right, any comment on that motion to repeal the old resolutions and adopt the new one? All right, hearing none, can we approve that motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Buswell?
I just wanted to join in with Joy and say thank you to everybody in the room and thank you to everybody at home. And I think it was mentioned before, not for just what we've seen you go through or see the battles that you go through, but also the ones that we don't see you go through and the time and effort away from your families. And some of you guys actually live right in my neighborhood, so I know the type of commitment, getting up in the middle of the night and leaving your family. So thank you very much. I know that's a long time coming.
Okay, back to the motion. Any comment on the motion? If not, can we adopt that motion by unanimous consent? We're good, Ms. Isaac and Ms. Satin, okay. All right, so that motion is approved. We do have the resolution TC 30-166. Yes, go ahead.
And again, echoing everyone's thanks to the fire department, the first selectman who could not be here today did ask that I convey the same sentiment, and I purposely did not raise that during public comment for obvious reasons. So on behalf of the first selectman, thank you, and she wholeheartedly supports these the resolution.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the resolution as it was presented on the agenda. Later this afternoon, there was circulated a proposed revision to that. I think all the council members got it. I'm just going to shortly give a summary of it, and I wanted to thank Attorney Dan Chopik for the consultation with getting this fully researched and fully drafted. So the resolution now reads in two parts. Part one refers to resident volunteer firefighters. Part two refers to non-resident volunteer firefighters in the Trumbull Fire Departments. The provisions are identical for each. The salient adjustments to the resolution have to do with making sure that the provision that after completing 25 years of cumulative active service, the firefighter would continue to get the abatement regardless of inactive status thereafter. That provision is inserted for both resident volunteers and non-resident. Originally presented, it was only in the resident portion. Additionally, it's indicated in Section 3 of both parts that the abatement of taxes would apply only to the volunteer's primary residence and only to a single vehicle, to the extent that the credit extended that far. And lastly, Section 4 was added to both parts, and that is a section that was omitted in the original draft that was presented with the agenda, but was part of the original resolutions of 20 years ago that were just repealed. And that directs the finance director to enter interlocal agreements in order to effectuate these provisions for any non-residents who are part of the fire department. So everybody's had a chance. Yeah, that's the 4:25 p.m. Email that council folks got. So is there a motion to substitute this draft with the original?
Second.
All right, discussion on that. All right, can we adopt that motion by unanimous consent? Okay, thank you. And then we have the resolution as amended with the new draft, and I'll ask for any other discussion or comment on the proposed resolution. All right. Then we have the resolution TC 30-166 as amended. Can we adopt the volunteer fireman tax abatement ordinance by unanimous consent?
No objection.
No objections? Okay. The resolution is adopted and the ordinance is in place. So I just want to add one comment on it before we move on to other business this evening. You know, I do hear, and I sometimes hear myself, that, you know, we have a lot of different taxes here in Trumbull. And you add them all up, and it's a lot of money. But having a volunteer fire force saves the municipality millions of dollars. The fire district tax we pay, frankly, pales in comparison to what the cost would be to have a paid fire department. And if there's no other reason to thank firefighters for their service, if you're financially minded, that's a great reason. I don't often think about it. I know from being on this council for all these years that we bring forth members of your body to be recognized for the heroic actions and, you know, savings that they provide to us. So, again, I want to thank you and wish you safe harbor on your work out there. Thank you very much. Mr. Wolf.
I know how much work that you and Mr. Ritigliano, who's somewhere hiding in the back, did. So I just want to thank you both. I don't have my glasses on, but I just want to thank you both as well.
Okay, all right, we will move on. Thank you all. We'll give you an opportunity to exit. All right. Fantastic. He was firefighter. Someone driving the black truck. All right, we will go back to the top of the agenda. We'll go to our discussion item, the annual audit presentation. I believe we have, through the miracle of modern science, Mr. Kyle Connors. Are you there, sir?
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Okay. So you're here to talk to us on the audit report for the town.
Yes, absolutely. Nobody wanted to stay for the audit presentation?
There's 20 of us.
Perfect. Well, Good evening. I'm glad you can hear me okay. Happy to be here presenting this evening. Appreciate the opportunity. We're going to walk through the town's 2024 financial statement and audit results. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask mid-presentation or save them for the end. Either way is fine. I'll be happy to answer them. So for a lot of you, this is probably maybe your first time seeing me. We are the town's third-party auditors. My name is Kyle Connors. I'm the managing director for this engagement. We're new to the town in 2024, and so great to meet you all. So we'll go through the 2024 financial statement results. The town's general fund decreased by $1.5 million, the fund balance. This was predominantly money that was set aside in 2023 to be considered assigned fund balance for tax appeals, anticipated tax appeals in 2024. So your unassigned fund balances, which is what your Moody's and your S&P are going to look at most often, was not impacted by the decrease in fund balance. Overall, at June 30, 2024, the town had fund balance of $32.1 million. When we compare that to your 2024 expenditures, it works out to be about 16.2% of your operating budget. And when we're looking at fiscal health for a community, typically a number between 8 and 18% is considered to be a healthy unassigned fund balance, which is where that 16.2% falls within. You can see here, this is the town's fund balance in the general fund over the last 6 years. That darker green portion of the chart represents your unassigned fund balance. And so you can see it's grown steadily over the last 6 years. And even taking the hit of $1.5 million in 2024, you can see that was the lighter shaded green. The unassigned fund balance was not impacted. So, probably the most important area for a user of the financial statements, whether it be S&P Moody's or whether it be this council, is the budget to actual. Where did you end up compared to where you had planned to? Overall, revenues were above budget in total by $437,000. There's a few categories to talk about. Property and excise tax were under budget by $4.1 million in fiscal 24. Not so much related to tax collection percentage. Your actual tax collection percentage in 2024 was 98.6% of your taxes assessed were received. Again, when we're talking about fiscal health, anything over 97% is considered to be healthy. But there were a significant amount of refunds related to tax appeals in fiscal 24, which is what caused your balance to be under budget. Education cost sharing, the town received $531,000 more than what was initially anticipated. Sales tax revenue, the town received $930,000 more than what was budgeted. Probably the largest number on your income side was your interest income, which was above budget by $1.8 million. Good fiscal investments and just a strong market in fiscal 24. And your emergency medical services exceeded budget by $538,000. Expenditures were $2.2 million below what was appropriated. There's a few areas. Public safety was under budget by $373,000, primarily due to positions that were open during 2024. The recycling center came under budget by $455,000, and town hall was under budget by $219,000, predominantly due to contingencies that were not needed in fiscal 24 that were budgeted for. Overall, the town spent about $1.7 million in ARPA money, leaving the town with $3.2 million at June 30, 2024 deferred at year end. So that money needs to be spent by December 31, 2026. The town sewer fund had operating revenues of $9.5 million, which was a slight decrease from the prior year of 10.2. Operating expenses were 9.9 million, which was a sizable decrease from the prior year of 13.5 million. Overall, the sewer fund has ending net position of 98.4 million, with 32.3 million of that considered unrestricted net position that's available for operational use. Gulf Fund operating revenue was consistent with the prior year at 2.9 million. Operating expenses were a little bit up, 2.4 million compared to 2.1 in the prior year. That fund has $7.3 million in net position, with 3.2 million considered unrestricted. Town participates in 2 private defined benefit plans, one for town employees and one for police employees. Again, fiscal health, in most states, when they look at a funding percentage for a pension plan, they consider anything under 60% to be critical. The town plan is funded at 50.5%, so it's not eclipsed that critical status with a total net liability of 51.2 million. But, it's a real challenge to, if you have a plan to, jump up that many points in that short period of time. If you look back at the last 6-7 years for the town, your actuaries give you what your funding requirement is going to be if you want to fund that up to 100% over the course of 30 years. It's about $5.5 million a year for the town. The town has made its annual required contribution dating back to, I think, 2015 is the last year we saw. So it's not as though you're not making that contribution on an annual basis. The police plan is funded at 82.8% with a $19.8 million liability at June 30, 2024. Town also participates in other post-employment benefit plan, which is healthcare services outside of actual, retirement benefits. That plan has an $18.1 million liability. It's funded at 3.1%. Dating back to 2017, it was funded at 1.8, so it's jumped a little bit. Majority of communities that have OPEB plans are still in their infancy of funding them. This liability kind of came to light when GASB 75 was implemented a number of years back, and this healthcare liability was not something that a majority of communities had considered funding or had considered setting up a trust fund. So even though 3% sounds low, and it is, it's not common for communities to have an OPEB liability that's funded as significantly as pension liabilities. So, obviously we're here presenting in the beginning of September for a June 30, 2024 year end. And so that's, certainly later than I think everyone would prefer and expect. A few reasons for that. The town was down finance staff, which led to some delays in the year-end closing process. Obviously, they were accustomed to working with auditors who had a history and a knowledge and could, make journal entries, knew what to look for. Anytime you switch auditors, there's a little bit of pain of your finance department's getting to know us, getting an understanding of how the finances work at the town and at the Board of Education. So that took some time as well. And then we had some issues with the town's tax receivable software, getting QDS to get us the reports that we needed in order to complete our auditing work. So, those three combined led us to a delayed audit for 24. I've been in contact with the finance department, with Maria, and the expectation is that this is a one-year anomaly, and that the finance department within the town is back on track with their reconciliations, and is, we've come up with we've reversed engineer a path to issuing the 2025 financial statements by the end of this calendar year. Recommendations. We would certainly recommend continuing cybersecurity training on an annual basis, / performing vulnerability testing proactively. More and more communities you're reading in the news are getting hit by ransomware and malware. It's just an area that's been under intense amount of attacks. And so ensuring staff have cybersecurity training, ensuring that you don't have any open ports or open computers or areas where a hacker could get in, and make sure you're staying on top of your cybersecurity will go a long way. As part of our audit, not only are we looking at your financial statements, looking at your internal controls over financial reporting, we're also testing your major grants for compliance. So in 2024, we tested your ARPA money, your child nutrition cluster, which is your school lunch fund, at the federal level, and then at the state level, we tested open choice, vocational agriculture, and then your local transportation capital improvement program. And so essentially, we're testing those to see, did you spend the funds appropriately? Did you spend it within the correct time frame? Did you report what you were going to spend to the state and to the federal government appropriately? And so I'm happy to note that we have no non-compliance to bring to your attention for fiscal 24. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. Ms. Malazzi?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned the town's tax receivable software gave you some problems with reconciliation. Did you make any kind of a recommendation to change to different software, or is there anything that we need to do kind of institutionally to rectify that?
Yeah, it's it's easy to say you should probably change to something that's going to give you the right information, right? But there's a lot that goes into it because you've got the billing process that flows through your tax software, and then switching that it's a haul. It's a lot of work and it impacts a lot of different areas. But I think it's definitely worth exploring with the finance department and potentially partnering with a system that is going to get us the information that we need on a more timely basis.
Thank you.
Ms. Cologne?
Hi there, through the chair. You also referenced the cybersecurity training, and I know that you did some testing, as you noted, looking at the federal spending and compliance issues for ARPA, state open choice. Was there any kind of testing done with our cybersecurity as well as malware and hacking?
Yeah, so we look at you think of like auditing in the traditional sense of they come in and make sure the debits and credits are equal. Modern audits are a lot more than that. We're looking at internal controls over how payroll takes place. Who is responsible for signing payroll registers? Who's responsible for importing the information into your financial reporting system? We're also applying audit procedures as it relates to your financial reporting system, Munis. And so we do a comprehensive walkthrough of general internal controls over IT, making sure that staff who are terminated are removed from the system appropriately, making sure that staff have appropriate access to certain modules and that people don't have what you would call God mode and have the ability to manipulate the system without anyone knowing. We do inquire about cybersecurity. I wouldn't say that we went so far as to perform that vulnerability testing that we're talking about, but we do have a group that can. We could scope that out for you if that was something that the town was interested in. A lot of times, your cybersecurity insurance provider too will provide those services or have the ability to.
Thank you.
I have a question on the revenues that you described. Early on, you said that for this fiscal year ending June 30, 2024, revenue exceeded the line item by $437,000. And then
Yep.
Okay, and then you also said received $500,000 more in educational cost sharing.
Correct.
So I'm wondering what went into I know you have all the line items for revenues, and you net, or the town net received $437,000 more. Is that right?
Correct. In total for revenue. Yep.
So that means that included the $500,000.
Yeah, the total 437,000 was just revenue as a whole, and then from there I broke it down here. I can share my screen back up if
Yeah,
it's easier.
I know that you also said that projected revenues for, I believe it was taxes, were down below the budget number. So I guess you net it all out.
Yep, correct. But if you look at pages, so it should be right on pages 93 through 96 of the financial statements, the PDF copy, you'll see it in more detail.
Okay.
What each line in your revenue did compared to the budget.
Okay, and the general, well, you can only speak to the 2024 year, but with the fund balance increasing, are you, from your work, are you able to tell us if that was based solely on the revenue overrun or surplus, or did it have to do with investment return as well?
So I think it's both, right? Because the tax appeals would have reduced your fiscal 24 tax revenue, which would have been offset by this 1.8 million in interest income. So I think you've got to look at everything in totality.
Okay, we can find that in your full report.
Yep, pages 93 through 96 will have the detail for every single line item.
All of that, okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Connors? If not, all right. I thank you for coming tonight and being patient to wait through that first matter we took up.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll return to our resolutions. Item 1, Resolution TC 30-161. Ms. Cologne, would you bring that to the floor, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Resolution TC 30-161, be it resolved that Nancy Walkley, being the same, is hereby appointed as a Zoning Board of Appeals alternate member for a term extending to the first Monday of December 2025.
Second.
Thank you. We have a committee report from Mr. Dorsey.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Nancy Walkley of 124 Imperial Court was present and indicated her party affiliation as Democrat. She recently retired and has decided it's time to get back to the town she has lived in for decades, and that was why she wanted to be on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Councilman Marsh noted he has had the privilege of working with Nancy Walkley for 26 years. She has been an underwriting counsel for major title insurance companies in the state, and is one of the most knowledgeable land use and real estate attorneys that he has come across in his career. She will be an asset in this position. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. I can tell you I met Nancy by different name in the fall of 1977 as we were in law school together, dating both of us. Not personally, but chronologically. As things worked out, we each got a spouse out of law school as well. So, just saying. Anyway, Nancy, in my view, would be very, very highly regarded as a member of the ZBA. Anything else? Okay, I better shut up. Can we adopt the resolution by unanimous consent? Any objections? Okay, it is unanimously adopted. And we'll go to item 2, Resolution TC 30-162. Mr. Wolf, would you bring it to the floor, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Resolution TC 30-162. Be it resolved that the submission of the funding application for the Local Prevention Council grant is hereby authorized. And be it further resolved that Vicky A. Tesoro, First Selectman, is hereby identified as the individual authorized to sign the application and all subsequent amendments, reports, and related documents in order to administer and implement the project.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dorsey. Committee report.
That's LNA.
So sorry, Mr. Pivko.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Melissa McCarthy, Prevention Director for Trumbull's TPOD Prevention Partnership with the Local Prevention Council was present. This is the Local Prevention Council funding from the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services that is administered by the Regional Behavioral Health Action Organization for Region 1. The funding is $5,662.90 and is allowed to apply for 2 years. TPAWD has been the Local Prevention Council since 2017. In past years, the state dictated that the money was designated for coalition buildings and for vaping prevention. This year, they're allowing them to designate the substances, and they intend to use the money for underage drinking prevention and nicotine prevention. It will fund a number of activities that TPAWD manages, both in the community and the schools, like Red Ribbon Week, which is run in both middle schools, the 9th grade forum, bag checks at Trumbull High School football games, as well as some support for the THS post-prom police officers, compliance checks for both nicotine and alcohol at vendors in town, as well as their education campaign on safe storage to reduce youth access. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Pefko. Melissa McGarry is here with us this evening. If you want to add anything, I think that was pretty complete. Any questions or discussion? All right, can we adopt Resolution TC 30-162 by unanimous consent? Is there any objection? Okay, it is adopted by unanimous consent. We'll move to item 3, Resolution TC 30-163. Ms. Winchell, would you bring that to the floor, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Resolution TC 30-163, be it resolved that $11,100 is hereby appropriated from the retained earnings to 211-00000-581-888 capital outlay.
Second.
Excuse me, committee report, Mr. Dorsey.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Jay Cunningham, Finance Chairman of the Golf Commission, was present and explained that they were requesting an appropriation for the golf course from the golf course retained earnings to the capital outlay account to fund a shutoff at the pump house water metering station as required by the Aquarian Water Company. Aquarian did some work there for a malfunctioning meter and noticed that there was no shutoff at this meter location. This was found after the budget was set. Confirmed there had never been a shutoff valve. The golf course had substantial capital budget this year that they budgeted for, but this item and the next item on the agenda were not budgeted for. It is better to fund it now. It was noted most houses have shut off 2 valves, one at the house side and one at the street. This one does not have one at the meter. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Everybody needs a shut-off valve. All right, can we adopt the resolution TC 30-163 by unanimous consent? Any objections? Hearing none, it's adopted. Go to item 4, resolution TC 30-164. Mr. Broderick, would you like to bring that to the floor, please?
Yes, absolutely. Resolution TC 30-164, be it resolved that $16,600 is hereby appropriated from the retained earnings to 211-000-581-888 capital outlay.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Dorsey, the committee report, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Jay Cunningham explained this is along the same lines as the first request. This is the furnace at Maintenance Barn. It is 25+ years old and needs to be replaced. It is not functioning and needs to be replaced before the cold weather sets in. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, can we adopt this resolution TC 164 by unanimous consent? Any objections? Okay, it is adopted. Item 5 was withdrawn. It's a matter for the Board of Finance. We did item 6. We will take up item 7, resolution TC 30-167. Mr. Lemoyne, would you bring this to the floor, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Resolution TC 30-167, be it resolved and ordained that no cannabis establishment as defined by CGS 21A-422F, as amended, may be established in the town of Trumbull. Full resolution attached. Public hearing, Town Council, September 8th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pifko. Committee report, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Massaro, who was at the meeting, explained the genesis of this resolution and proposed ordinance comes from recent events where the Trumbull Planning and Zoning Commission passed a moratorium on cannabis establishments. He recognized that there was at least one cannabis establishment that had significant interest in coming to Trumbull. After having looked at the statute, he saw that municipalities are given the choice to either prohibit the establishment of a cannabis establishment. The language from the statute reads that the legislative body or the Planning and Zoning Commission, in his view, the moratorium is a temporary prohibition, and the council has authority to vote on whether to have a full prohibition in effect. If this ordinance is passed, Planning and Zoning won't have to concern itself with the issue and the pressure from outside to have these establishments come to Trumbull. First Selectman Tesoro extended her gratitude to Mr. Massaro for the resolution. She put forward a moratorium for 4 years to Planning and Zoning, which was accepted, and someone did come forward, at least at the P&Z meeting, to talk about the establishment here in Trumbull. First Selectman Tesoro supports this resolution to further protect the town, especially the children. The vote, motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Pifko. At this time, 8:25, I'll open the public hearing on this ordinance. And I'll invite whoever would like to speak first. Lori Hayes O'Brien.
Good evening, everyone. You're probably all looking at your agendas to see if the Senior Community Center was on there, but I'm wearing a different hat tonight. I'm proud to be here as a chairperson of TPOD, Trumbull's Prevention Partnership, something I've chaired for longer than I've chaired that other committee, actually, and something that work we're really proud of. We really are grateful that this resolution is coming up. We want to thank the Town Council, the town in general, from the First Selectman's Office to the Human Services Department, for all their work in supporting prevention and TPOD through the many years that we've been active. And we're grateful that you're considering Resolution TC 30-167, stating that no cannabis establishment may be established in the town of Trumbull, a permanent prohibition as opposed to these temporary moratoriums. There's a multitude of research reasons why we think this is so important. Melissa McGarry will be going through some of those, and I do believe you have an emailed statement from her as well. They'll be pointed out from her, who's our project director. For tonight's discussion, we hope you'll keep Trumbull's youth foremost in your decisions. We have seen that two of the main drivers of youth cannabis use are low perception of harm and increased access, both of which are impacted by businesses and their community. We strongly believe that cannabis commercialization has a negative impact on young people and their families, and that cannabis businesses are a bad fit for Trumbull. We urge you to adopt this resolution and continue to support prevention in our town. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Melissa McGarry, who's next?
Taller. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Melissa McGarry, I'm the Prevention Director for the Town of Trumbull, and I'm here to support Resolution TC 30-167 that would prohibit cannabis businesses in Trumbull. Since Connecticut commercialized marijuana, Trumbull has successfully passed a series of one-year moratoria that prohibited cannabis businesses, and as someone who has just entered her 20th school year doing prevention in Trumbull, I was very appreciative of the cautious approach that we have taken in town, and I'm grateful now that the Town Council is taking this step to permanently prohibit these businesses. I want to also express my appreciation to the First Selectman for her 20-year support of TPOD, the past moratorium, and this resolution as she spoke on Monday. Today's cannabis has been engineered for maximum potency. The marijuana of the past, which was less than 5% THC, has been replaced with flower reaching potency of 30% THC and more. Vapes, a product that often appeals to kids, are now reaching 80 to 90% and higher. These high potency products have such a strong impact on our youth and our young adults who have, developing brains until their late 20s. There's a growing understanding and body of research that the health effects of these high potency products, which include addiction, anxiety, depression, and even psychosis, impacts on educational outcomes both at the high school level and at the college level, more impaired driving and greater health harms from accidental ingestion by young children. We know, as Lori stated, the biggest drivers of youth substance use are perception of harm and access, but also perception of disapproval by your peers and your family. Retail availability in a community has been shown to normalize cannabis use among our youth and their families and lowers perception of harm. Of course, they're businesses. We should expect that they will advertise their products and their services, and they will promote their businesses. And unfortunately, in the cities that, the municipalities that have legalized, we are seeing very creative advertising that skirts Connecticut's restrictive cannabis advertising laws and reaches our kids. There is little the town can do to protect our young people once we allow these businesses into our town. They're incredibly creative, and we see it every day. Which is why I support this resolution. Will be in very good company. Other towns that have banned and prohibited cannabis businesses include Milford, Shelton, Monroe, Newtown, Westport, Weston, Wilton, New Canaan, Darien, and Greenwich. That's just in our kind of area. Thank you for your support of prevention for the last 20 years. We're very grateful. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to this resolution, and I do hope you will pass it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments tonight, and thank you for your work with Teapot and the youth. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
She did really well. We're going to leave it right there.
All right, then I will close the public hearing at 8:31. We have the resolution on the floor. Is there any further discussion or comment on it? Ms. Lenzen?
I would just like to say, as a lifetime educator who has spent a lot more time recently in the high schools, not here in Trumbull, but in another district, that I see it every day. I see the impact of it. And unfortunately, the district where I work does allow those businesses. And they are very creative. They're creative at figuring out how to let the kids buy it, even though they shouldn't be. And I am absolutely thrilled to be on a council that has decided to permanently prohibit this. I think it's very important. It's probably one of the most important things that we're going to do. So, my 2 cents.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Buswell?
It's a sadder subject, but my mother passed away from emphysema. So when I was a young boy, I never smoked cigarettes and I never even got into marijuana. So it's sort of a touchy subject to me, as it's sort of a gateway from one to another. So thank you guys so much, both of you, for everything that you do and for everyone that supports it. Thank you.
All right. Can we adopt Resolution TC 30-167 by unanimous consent? Is there any objection? Hearing none, Resolution TC 30-167 is adopted, and the ordinance is on the books. I think that can. Just one or two quick other things. The explanatory text for the referendum question on the community center is completed. It's in the hands of the town clerk. Lori Hayes O'Brien is here. I think you had a hand in writing that along with our town attorney, and we appreciate that. Just a little housekeeping matter so everybody knows that we're on schedule for that, and I personally appreciate that. It's important to get the ballot in order and get everything lined up. Just have to get some renderings, and they'll be ready to go when the polls open. Then one other thing I just wanted to comment on with respect to the volunteer fireman tax abatement ordinance. I was asked when the agenda came out, what about the emergency medical service volunteers? And my answer then was, well, I didn't have time to get to it, but I have, and you'll see it in October. And we'll do something for them as well. I have nothing else to say. Thank you very much for coming out this evening and participating. Good work tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned.